And here I have Mr. Matthew Elliott. Now, before we get stuck in, there's one thing I wanted to save and ask you about. Danny Phantom in the profile pic. I think that's quality. Like, again, if no one appreciates that, you just, should be listening to this. You need to get some culture in you. Like, what inspired that then? Is that like a nickname or what's that?
No, it's I dyed my hair silver and over Christmas, and then I just kept it silver. Normally it washes out, but I was using silver shampoo every day. And I just kept the silver, and I managed to find a sunbed on the DL during all this. So tan my silver hair, and I just kind of went with it. I was like, I feel as if that's what I want to look like.
Careful, you might have to look like Wayne Lineker, I think, if you go too far with that, but you should be all right. Stay away from white jeans and like Instagram models, you should be all right.
Start a party on a beach so well here.
This is it, we'll stick to the fighting and the judo. I think you'll be all right at that still. But
stick that, be okay.
So we'll get stuck in with fight related stuff before we go into, Wayne Lineker and that sort of side of stuff. We can come back to that. We can put a pin in that. So first and foremost, fantastic performance, Scott Pedersen fight. Both of you, technical bout. I mean, that started the trilogy quite nicely. Like, build it for that fight in itself. What was that expectation like for you? Was it something you were quite anxious for, excited for, that sort of size platform for a debut? How did you find it?
We knew we were there. We knew we were going to be fighting. For the most part, because Korean Boylan had promised Pat and Liam that he would get me a fight in March, but we were kind of sitting 2 weeks out, and no name, no opponent, nothing, and so I was training for it anyways. But at times, whenever you don't have a name and stuff, it is hard to, you're sitting there some nights and you're like, why am I going up to spar Joe, Paul, and James Macklin like tonight? And you're not going up for light rounds, you're going up for 5-5s, hard rounds, and it's sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Let me just, for everyone listening, be sure to check out sponsors. We've got the English Hypnotist. I've done a video reviewing the session I've had with him. And again, when it comes to things like that, sponsors, you see new ones from your friends, fighters, podcasts, be sure to share their stuff, like and get involved. Because again, supporting sponsors supports the fighters, supports the platforms, everything else. And we're back in the room. Is everything all right? You're all good?
Yeah, no, all's good, mate. All's good. Mom's just fucking shouting away.
That's the boss. Don't worry. When you get the UFC contract, you don't have to listen to it anymore. You'll be all right. But
I'll get me get out of here.
This is it. But let me interrupt you there. I see something behind you. The Ultra Fiesta Monster. What's your opinion? I say it's overrated. What are you saying on it? Talk to me.
Mate, I actually have I actually have an energy drink ranking list on my whiteboard.
Here. Oh my! Where have you been all my life? What is this?
It's 1 to 10. So they're sitting there. But
so for everyone listening, let's go to the top 5. Is this sugar free and sugar drinks as well? Have you done half and half?
Everything's sugar free. I don't drink the ones with sugar in it. It's kind of like the only.
What's the number 1 spot then? I want to know. Save my time. Save my taste buds. What's going on? What's number 1? 1
is Iron Brew caffeine. Oh, that's good. The caffeinated Iron Brew.
So
controversial, but
I mean that's a bit of a rogue one. I've never heard of that before, but I trust your judgment. Now, what's the bottom one? What's the worst one? What's the bottom tier energy drink?
Well, in at 10 we have the 3D cotton candy.
In at 10, Mr. Watch Mojo, what's this?
10 is 3D cotton candy. Well, my top 5 with Iron Brew caffeine, the 3D Liberty Pop, the 3D Strawberry Lemonade, the Rain Lemonade, and the Ultra Blue Monster. They're top 5.
Ultra Blue, love to see it. So Ultra Red is definitely up there. Ultra Purple is, well, not Ultra Violet, we're going to call it. They bang. But yeah, the Fiesta one, I think it's a bit B-Tech Mango Loco, but that's another conversation. We'll go back to fight talk in just a second, but we have to make that very clear. And I'm very happy that's
brought up.
This is it. You've got to let people know the score. Like that should be on your when you walk out, you got credentials and your cage warriors thing, and judo, everything else, top 5 energy drinks. Got the tears, everything else. That's the dream. Task at hand. We'll go back to fight stuff in case people get upset, but we'll sort out a bit. So build up, big debut, big platform. How was the preparation like? Because again, you're saying about obviously Paul Hughes, Joe McColgan. Again, I heard about the doghouse rounds on the Tuesdays, man. Like, fuck that royally, but here we are.
Yeah, no, basically, it was just, everything was kind of going good, but then I was starting to get burnt out because I was hoping there would be a pullout last September in Cage Wars, and then I was hoping there'd be a pullout again in December. So I'd kind of done camp with Joanne Paul for September and December, and then coming up to it took like a week and a bit off for Christmas, but you find it hard taking time off. So it was just starting to burn out coming up the March here. So thank God I got a fight, because if it was stalled again, it wouldn't have been too good. But no, training went well for the most part. You know, it's just kind of everything started falling apart though. See, as soon as I got the fight and I was announced, I tore my septum. Like in the fight, my nose started bleeding pretty bad. That was I tore my septum, like 2-3 weeks out, sort of. And it kind of just split again during the fight. I don't actually know how it happened, but that was just an old injury that happened there. And then I wrecked my shoulder and stuff again. And then 2 days after the fight was announced, got sick and all. So everything just kind of went, you know, like the second I got it, everything was like, right, okay, let's go tits up. But by the time I got the fight, I was good. I was in shape and I was healthy, so I have no complaints, because I definitely brought the best version of myself there.
I'm gonna say, from the outside looking in, there's no like obvious sort of working around any injuries or anything. It didn't look too apparent. Again, when your nose was bleeding, it looks like you just got popped with a jab. There's nothing too in your face about it. And again, when it comes to that card, what was interesting is for Paul Hughes, because in praying for James Hendon, someone with a predominant judo background, he's seeing you there, he must be laughing. It's a perfect opponent to sort of a perfect sparring partner to train with. Like, are you quite specific with your camps with people you fight? Is it very much around their game? Is it about yours? Like, what's that like?
No, it is quite literally that me, Paul, Joe, James McElwain, and then there might be 1 or 2 others up, but basically the 4 of us just go up and punch the head at each other. Whatever they were sparring, if we're wrestling, it's, you know, I'm getting rounds in with them, I'm getting rounds in with Big Kyle and stuff. Just everyone in the gym you're training with. It's nothing's too specific, because the way I see it is, I know what my game plan is, and no matter who I spar, like if I don't have a fight coming up or something, and somebody wants me to try, you know, fighting like a certain style, that's okay. But when I have a fight coming up and stuff, it's just implementing my game plan, and my game plan's very rarely gonna change. Like, I'll make it open to everyone now. I'm gonna hit you and I'm gonna take you down. If I can't take you down, I'll hit you some more and then take you down. Like, do you know what I mean? It's no secret anyway. It's like the second you see wrestling and judo, they're thinking, you know, oh, he's going to be looking to take me down. But I have no issues telling people that's what I'm going to do. But you can't play cat. Like, if you get cold, you're fighting me in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever, you can't play catch up in 6 or 8 weeks. You're not going to catch up. Like, it's just there's too much of a gap, and you can't close that gap in a year. Never mind 6 or 8 weeks. So I know the level I'm at. The coaches know the level I'm at. So I have no issues telling boys what I'm going to do, and always got the ultra blue.
I need a brand deal. Hans Camp, give me a shout. There we are. That's one thing. One thing I really wanted to ask you about this. When it comes to like training judo, training wrestling, uchikomis or the entry drilling is such so predominant. Again, you do like 1,000 like entries before you actually do the throw. Do you do your like MMA like that? Do you do a lot of entries into like takedowns and do the same like reps and reps and reps, or is it just like open sparring for you?
We would do a lot of MMA, John. So good. Like, we actually would do quite a bit of it. That's where the difference really is in between us, like Fight Academy Ireland, and everywhere else. It's we train MMA. So we're going to go and we're going to drill strikes to wrestling to jiu-jitsu, and then back the way up the other way. So everything's just like, we're never just drilling wrestling or drilling striking. We're drilling striking to wrestling. Even in the wrestling class, it's always starting that from strikes from an entry of some position. Like, it's not just open wrestling where you're shooting doubles. It'll be your striking, your double legs, your single legs, or whatever it is you're doing. And that's the difference. So that's why we are where we are at the minute, and the gym's doing amazing.
So with your sort of development in this side of thing anyway, are you one to sort of double down on like a certain technique sequence you like, or would you try loads of different ways of going about things and just try and spread your technique like so wide? You see what I mean? So instead of like doing your only uchimatas and your haragoshis, you're doing like a bit of like the koichis and all the sort of trips and that sort of thing, really mixing up a lot, or really emphasizing one specific area. You see what I mean?
As in just trying to like add new techniques to things, or
Yeah, so in the sense of, are you going to do the same kind of entries like just drill the shit out of it, or just try loads of different kind of entries from the same kind of starting position?
Well, with my wrestling coach, anyways, from the start of lockdown, we have maybe about 5 positions, and from each one of those positions, with 20 takedowns. And from each one of those positions on the ground, with multiple different things we're going to do. But everything is, if this doesn't work, we go to this. If this doesn't work, we go to this. But it'll always be kind of a structure of, there's gonna be my go-to, and if that doesn't work, I have 10 things after that I'm gonna go round. And one, if the first one doesn't get you, and the second one, like one of them along the pattern will get you. But no, there's not one particular thing that I drill really heavily. So there's not. It's just I'm constantly trying to add things, and constantly, even the things that I do have, I'm just trying to improve them, just tidy them up, because no matter how good it is, it can always get better. And you know, that's the way I see it, anyways.
When you're drilling, are you preferring the sort of the wrestling grind of just reps on reps, fast paced, like cardio kind of pushing, or is it more slow inch by inch details? What sort of thing do you tend to like, I don't know, prefer?
I definitely prefer the hard grind and
Yeah.
things, or the whole grind side of things is obviously preferred. It's just because with growing up wrestling, like we were doing, I was like 10. I remember like vaguely of this memory in my head of one Saturday morning waking up at 9 o'clock. When you're 10 on a Saturday morning, it's pretty early. You know, it's
Crack of
not
dawn,
fun.
that is, yeah.
But I started wrestling at 9, wrestling from 9 to 11, and then going to a wrestling squad training from 2 to 4. But back then it was just like, let's just push you as hard as we can. And I remember sitting in bed going, I don't want to go. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
had
why would you? Why would you want
yeah,
that?
but I had it in my head that if I told my dad I didn't want to go, he'd be like disappointed in me. So even though like I've spoke to him about it, and he's like, I wouldn't have cared. But like you always have it in your head. It's like, I don't want to let my dad down. So you go in to do it, and then in 10 years' time you thank yourself for doing it. But you don't want to do that. And I think because of it, there is times I need to talk myself out of it. Of like, there's times I don't feel that I've trained because I'm not just grinding. Like, so I can go and work on techniques all night and still feel like I'm like, I haven't trained on it, even though you've improved way more than you would have done any other type of session. But it's just because you need like, you need there to be some sort of hardship during the training session to make it feel as if you haven't wasted your time, which is kind of what I'm struggling to get around. But it's what I'm having to talk myself around, that I can like go and just have an hour and a half long technical session, just improve technique, and that is way better than me doing burnout sessions 7 days a week. So
I mean, fuck that royally, but that's fine. That's your business. But like, the thing is, with this, the ultimate, I really wanted to ask about is longevity, because again, that sounds like someone who's been doing the 7-day burnouts and eventually, okay, I'm getting really ill and really injured. Like,
yeah.
how do you keep longevity with that kind of like grind mindset? Like, are you doing rehab sort of stuff, prehab stuff? What is it that's keeping you, I don't know, in one piece?
To be honest with you, I don't actually my recovery, that like it doesn't actually have that much focus to it. It's the one thing I definitely need to improve. The one thing I have improved over the past year has been my sleep. But apart from that, like I maybe mess about with a massage gun here or there, but like I'm not really doing anything. I never stretch. I never do fuck
John
all.
Wick with the fucking massage gun.
Yeah, I'll sit in the bath so for that's kind of the only recovery I do. I supplement quite heavily. Like my supplement drawer is insane. Just like taking ginger, turmeric, vitamin D, beta alanine, creatine, everything. But in terms of like actually doing things like a massage or chiro or physio or any of that, I actually really need to start doing that. So if anyone's watching and wants to sort me out,
There we are, little plug. Yeah, everyone wants it.
yeah, they can they can help me, because I need to start doing a lot more, because I'm not doing it anywhere near enough. It's all just pushing myself. But in terms of longevity, I don't know. Honestly, I think I've got lucky for the most part. So I think I have got lucky. There's times I can feel myself just burning out and getting fatigued and starting to get injured, and then I'll just take a week off training or whatever it is. But for the most part, I've just got lucky with things. The only real time that there was ever any focus on it was when I was doing judo. They used to make you taper and stuff. So like 2 weeks out from a competition, they'd have you tapering, and they'd have like a program for how your training's going to wind down coming up to competitions and stuff. But In terms of myself, I'm just like, I kind of just structure it myself, but I don't know. It's all luck. Just try not to get hit in the head too much. And
Good rule of thumb, I think.
yeah, if I can not get hit in the head too much, maybe see another 15, 16 years out of this.
What a
We'll see.
statement that is. What a fucking thing to say. If I don't get hit too much, I've got another 15 years in me. Oh
Yeah,
God. Are you okay? Do you want to
that's
cuddle? Are you all right?
that's it. Just don't get hit too much, and hopefully I'll be fighting in 15 years time.
Okay, I'll leave you with that anyway. But one thing I wanted to go into there, you said about your sleep's been something you've improved a lot. So obviously when you get back from like a relatively late night sparring session, you're still firing on all cylinders, your heart rate's racing, and you got like a morning session, for example, afterwards. How do you unwind and how do you get good sleep? What's your sort of routine with that?
I have my routine to it is literally nothing. It's just trying to go to bed early. I don't actually train in the mornings because I work, so I'm up at 6 o'clock for work every day, and then there's nights you don't get home from training at 10, half 10. So it's kind of like the second I get home is just I really need to be getting to bed. Like, um, but it's hard because I have to do all my training after work, so I'm training twice. Like coming up to fight and trying to get 2 a day in, but they're after work, so it's your work, and I don't finish the half hour, so it's work to training, and then literally straight home to bed. So you don't have time for anything. It's just chaotic. So it is at the minute, anyways.
Oh, fuck that. Is your job quite physical or is it like an office job?
I'm a spark, so well,
Oh God.
that's
Have fun, can't wait with that.
no, that's to be honest, Cage Wars worked out perfect that it was on a Thursday because it meant that I got the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off work. So I had 5 days off work beforehand. Whereas if it was on the Saturday, I probably would have been needing to go on the work say Monday. Like I'd normally be going in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And the difference it made being off work them extra 2, 3 days was it was insane. Just in terms of how smoothly my wake up went.
I mean, this is something so underappreciated as well, because again, people who are, we'll go into more details about this side of things. But anyway, when it comes to at this level, you have to still work full time. You still have to keep the lights on. Again, you still got to, keep living. And then
Yeah.
also chasing the dream whilst doing that. Again, it's trying to keep everything moving. Because again, if you're depleted from cutting weight, from training, and you're underperforming at work, you can't afford
Yeah.
to then keep everything else going. So it's that balancing act. And with that, anyway, you said about just getting an early night. But what is an early night for you then? Is it just for every blackout room, close your eyes and hope for the best? Do you put music on? You got sleep timer stuff? Is it anything particular you're doing? Because again, like it's one of those like things people just try to find their way of making it work. You know what I
Um we'll just say just going straight to bed.
mean?
Just going straight to bed. Nothing there.
Fair enough,
That's
man. It's one of them ones. It's like, okay, just trying to like
yeah.
get the music on, can't settle, can't do this. No, just
Just
literally just
chill out as much as you can and just go to bed.
it's hard work,
Um,
harder work than it sounds. What was it? There's a few things I was going to say with that. So we're talking about the weight cut, we're talking about working. With cage wars, the preparation, obviously competing as much as you have in like judo and everything else. Do you treat MMA as a fight or just another sport, like a match? Like when it comes to your mindset regards of, I don't know, conceiving what you're going to be preparing for, if you see what I mean.
I've always seen it as it's competition, and I think this was the first time it was I kind of looked at it differently because I was like, there's no crowds. You're going into a cage, and it's more or less a street fight in the cage at that stage when there's
Mm.
no crowds or anything. So it's the first time I've ever kind of looked at it as like I just said to myself, I was like, see at the end of the day, we're just going on the scrap. How hard can it be? Like, you know, it's like my mindset to it's just we're going in the fight. Previously, like I know when my first fight and stuff, it was all a competition. So it was just like a competitive nature, but now it's just going and scrap. I think honestly, I think that's a better way to look at it because when I was kind of looking at things as this is a competition thing, and I got to keep the record clean and all this here. It's probably hold you back a bit, so it does. Because then you'll start trying to stall on, you'll think you've won rounds, and at the
Mm.
same time you want to at least be a little exciting. I can't be lying on boys all day, so I gotta throw a few punches.
I mean, that is a different side of it in itself. It's the sugar ray leonard thing that when you become a professional, you become a businessman as well, and it takes away from it. Because again, like as much as the style works of hit them, take them down, hold them down, it's trying to be marketable, trying to get a highlight reel, everything else. Because again, you start throwing spinning shit for some fucking reason, and then what?
Yeah.
You end up
Well, that's
owing.
it.
It's just like, who's that for? You know what I mean? But I like the way you're being aware of the bigger picture with that. But again, it's trying to manage that, because again, as much as it is one of the biggest platforms in Europe, it's everything else. It also is a fight. It is everything and nothing in the same kind of vein. I like how you're managing to deal with that. Now, with competition with you in general, have you always been quite, I don't know, quite logical with it? Have you been quite anxious beforehand?
Um, can't, it's oh, I've always seen it like the same. It's like it's competition. You know, I'm going out to compete, but then it's hard to put in words. I've always just seen it as a competition, but at the same time, it's whenever you're doing it your entire life and you spend the vast majority of your time just doing that, it becomes a part of your personality. So whenever you are competing, it's a bit more to you than just competition. But at the same time, I was always just looking at things as, I'm going away to compete. It was never I was going away to do my job or anything. I was going away to compete. That's kind of the way it was always seen. But at the same time, if it ever involved bending a few rules, and the referee not saying they get it something like you're gonna do it, like there's times I've wrestled people better than me, and it's just like, right, okay, I know they're better than me, but we're just gonna scrap them, and you just go out and just make it. You just turn it into a scrap, and then just try break them that way. If you can't beat them, break them,
Mm.
But I don't. I view it all the same, I think.
That's it. A firm oil check will make a human of every man. It's all good. Don't worry. That's what you got to do sometimes. But with showing off on game day, do you have like a certain, like, I don't know, routines, mindset, same kind of warm up every time? Is there anything like that you find works for you like consistently?
Uh, no, like one of my best ever judo performances came off eating a Big Mac for breakfast. Like in terms of fighting, like this time it was different than every other time, but it was better than every other time. I went for a bit of a shakeout and then I went to sleep. Then I woke up again. I ate some more and then I went back to sleep, and then I left. And if I could do it like that every time, that's the way I'll be doing it. Something like that. But I don't have any routines or anything. I'm superstitious as fuck, but that's not the that's like if you see that as like a thing, maybe. But my routine's different every time. I don't really have a routine. My life's just it's chaos.
When you woke up from that nap, did you have a Big Mac?
No, I would honestly, I would have loved it, but I think over there I had like 3 Nando's beforehand. But it's okay because it's just chicken and bread, so you're sweet.
Oh, this gets controversial now. What was your Nando's order? Talk to me. Okay. Deliveroo app. You got your Nando's. What are you saying?
Chicken thighs, garlic bread, Perry salted chips with the Visa sauce, the hot one, with that and some medium garlic sauce, and then pita bread with some chili jam. That's
Oh,
I think that's a steal.
he said it with chest. He loves it. He knows there's no hesitation there. It was a man who knows what he wants. All right, fair enough. God, I didn't expect that confidence. I love that. Because people are like, I don't know, just chicken. Like, well, yeah, no shit, but what?
No, everything's got to be done right. You do it right, you don't do it at all.
Oh, man after my own heart. Again, that kind of like professionalism. I love to see it. I mean, this is sort of the point, though. You got to, you know what you like. You got to get stuck in. But this is one of the ending questions. But I'll go into it now anyway. Post competition, what is like the go-to? Have you got like the same one after every sort of fight or competition or whatever?
Food?
Yeah.
Pizza straight away.
Yeah,
Pizza, like it's just how quickly can I get steaming? It's just straight down. At that stage, I'm like, it's been like a good 12 weeks since I've signed a Guinness. That's what you're going to. But I don't know. You couldn't do anything after Cage Wars. It was just heading up to the coaches room, and nothing's open. You can't go out or anything. But depends. If it's over here, I'm going straight to Thompson's. But we'll see.
This is it. Get your Domino's and you shouldn't fucking Guinness in your way. He's choking on the widget. It's going down so quickly as well.
That's it. And I'm happy.
Love to see it.
I'm happy.
Do Guinness have widgets? I don't know. I think that's a bit, but anyway, it's another thing. That's just not relevant at all. Moving on swiftly. When it comes to superstitions, you said there, what does that roll into training stuff at all? Is it like your lucky pants? Is it like not stepping on drain covers?
No,
What is your like superstition? What does that sort of equate to?
no, don't even talk about walking in drain covers. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but I still believe it. It's
That's the
like,
rules, yeah.
yeah, it's magpies are like, I'll be driving and just start saluting magpies under my breath and stuff, and everyone's kind of like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing?" They got Tourette's, but you're
That's very
spotting them
true.
from everywhere. Yeah, spotting them from everywhere, like, because like if I'm going to, like, a competition or something and I seen one magpie, I'm like, I think it's getting saluted. I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Here, mate, just give us a hand." That they're jinxing myself as well. Like, the one time I ever got injured in, or whenever I was doing judo, was I jinxed myself. We're walking and we're in Germany walking over the training camp. We're just after competing, and I turned on the coach and I was like, "I've never been injured. I don't get injured." And he straight away was like, "Oh, I've just jinxed yourself." Boom, went wrecked my shoulder. Was out. Had to pull out a footing or European Cup and Spain all over it. I was like, "That's so
Now,
because of that, I'm superstitious."
that gets an interesting point there, because again, one thing you said at the start of this was the constant grind, being restless when you're already training. When you're out
Yeah.
injured, how did you manage that then? How did you stay in a good headspace?
Um, I don't like, if I'm not training, like, I need to be running or something, even just something like tire me out. But if I'm not, my like you can tell I haven't been training. I get like super agitated and I almost get depressed, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Like, if I'm not training, my head's racked. I start snapping at everything and all. But that's kind of the issue where your your sport starts to become your personality, and without it, you feel like that's the whole thing of like, I don't know how I would react if I lost, because I'm like, this is kind of my personality now. What, like, if I lose, like, what am I? Who am I? And I think that would be a tough one to figure out in my head. But for the most part, I see things as like, I am training. It's like, anyone asks me, "What are you doing tonight?" I'm training. "What are you doing tomorrow?" Training. Everything's just, if I'm off work, I'm going to like, if I'm off work, I'm training during the day and training at night. Like, I don't know what else to do. When I go on holidays, like, I always say to myself, I'll never go away on like a holiday and train while I'm out there. Like, if I was to go away to America or anything on a holiday, like, I wouldn't want to be training over there. I'm out there to relax and enjoy myself. But like, I'm out swimming in the pool, or I'm flipping doing press ups or something, because it's just like, just trying to keep your mind off it all's chaos. So it is.
I appreciate the honesty with that, because again, when it comes to this side of things, a lot of people do that very subconsciously. It's like, I'm an MMA fighter, then I'm Dan. You know what I mean? It's a very,
Yeah.
this is who I am first. And to have that kind of transparency about it as well, knowing that, you know what, it gets me because I realize this might not be, if that isn't me, then what am I, sort of thing. It's a very honest thing to do. And I have a lot of respect for you for being open about that. But when it comes to having a passion and having that kind of driving force, the idea of it being taken away for a minute, it's like, now what? Because again, you
Yeah.
have, it's not, because the thing with this conversation people don't appreciate is, if I say to you, would you rather see your mates go to the gym? If you say that off the bat, you probably see your mates. If you say, would you rather win your next fight or see your mates? Like, well, obviously win the
Yeah.
next fight. You say, would you rather be in the UFC than see your mates? Well,
Yeah.
again, it's
Well,
a bigger thing.
it's
People don't get it. People don't appreciate the scale of what this actually is. It's not just going to the gym, lifting some, like doing some curls. It's way bigger than that.
yeah. No, I remember, see, growing up over the summer, whenever you're not in school, you're out just playing with your mates in the street, and you're turning around them at like 7 o'clock whenever the sun's splitting the trees, and you're like, "I have to go in," and they're like, "Just stay out." You're like, "I can't. I need to go training." But you're only, 8, 9, 10 years of age, like that. You're like, why was I going training? Like, I was back. I'm like, why did I go training? Because like, you don't know at the time, but you're just like, I just got to do it. That's what I'm doing. And at that time, I definitely would have rather stayed out and played with my mates. But looking back on it now, obviously I'm grateful I didn't. But it's just sacrificing. They get place. Everything's a sacrifice. You'll not get anywhere without sacrificing something.
And again, when the way you're sort of describing this, because you mentioned about saying initially it was a sort of faux disappointment of your dad sort of thing, even though he wasn't really like, kids quit everything
Yeah,
all the time. Dads sort of get used to that sort of stuff. Do you think
yeah.
it was more fear of disappointing him or more disappointing yourself, do you reckon?
I don't. No, it wouldn't have been. You know that, like, for things like that. I don't think it would have been anything to do with them. But like as a kid, I remember like I always wanted to do MMA. Maybe that was in the back of my head because I was going up to a boxing gym, but yet never competed in boxing, just because I wanted to do MMA down the line. So did because my dad showed me Chuck versus Tito 2. I was like 5, and like then I was like, I'm gonna be an MMA fighter. And Chuck Liddell was my favorite fighter afterwards, and all the rest of it. And I was like, maybe it's something to do with that. I was like, that's where I want to be. But it was only whenever it was like, say, 15, whenever I started like traveling with judo and stuff, that you're like, right, this is why I'm going training. There's like a much bigger purpose to this. It's like I need to go training because I have a competition in 6 weeks. I have a competition next week, and that's why you were going. So it was much easier to do then. It was much easier to make sacrifices then. But back when I was a kid, it was party doesn't know why you're doing it. You kind of just want to make something of yourself to kind of impress your parents and stuff. And, I think it might have been something to do with that, but for the most part, I don't really know.
I mean, it's an interesting one, and I appreciate you sort of open with being with this. And again, if we take anything out afterwards, if you want to, take anything back, or just keep it to yourself. Again, I appreciate it's a very honest sort of part of this, but when it
No,
comes,
anything can be
no, I appreciate
shown.
that. So I'm going to give you the option to take anything out, just make sure you've got that option anyway. But moving on, but when it comes to the bigger purpose and the consistency, this is really the point, because it's the days when like you're like, fuck this, I'm tired, fuck this, I'm sore. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I want to just go to the pub, like go out, just go on dates and just not have to watch my weight, not stress. But then you realize, okay, after about 2 days of doing that, you're like, you know, it's fucking miserable. Why do people do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how do I fit in this? It's like, now what? I don't care about football that much. It's just all right. But like,
Yeah.
no one's going to get beaten up. You know what I mean? They've got cauliflower ears. Who gives a shit?
It's fun for a bit, and then you're waking up, you have no idea where you are, and you're like, this isn't fun. So it's not. But no.
But with one thing, what interested me with this is how into judo you got to. For something that was to supplement your MMA career, I'm taking this as boxing was there because there was an MMA platform, or was that just a preference to try and build that separately, then go to MMA?
No, I never give a fuck about boxing. So I didn't. I liked it and stuff, but I only went for like a year or two when I was younger, and then I kind of dipped in and out for a few years and stuff. But it was like I liked judo. I always like whenever I was younger, I wanted to do the Olympics with judo and stuff, until you kind of hit a level. And like my reason for quitting judo was because I kind of got to a level, and they were like, we want you to go part-time for, I think part-time was like 16 weeks in Warsaw a year, or go full-time over in England. And I was like 17 at the stage. I just started an apprenticeship, and I'm like, how am I supposed to go over and do judo full-time? Because then I'm committing my life to judo. That's me in judo for the rest of my life. How do I earn money? Who's going to pay for me to stay over there? It's all this kind of stuff. Once I'm done, what I do as a job, that I coach judo, and how to make money coaching judo. Because if you can't get in schools to coach, you're not making enough money to live on. So the entire thing was kind of like, all right, this is in shambles. And then they'd asked me to quit wrestling as well. And the second they asked me to quit wrestling, I was like, see you later. So it was, but no, like growing up, I actually wanted to do things and do. Like I wanted to go to the Commonwealth, at least the Commonwealth Games or something, or the Olympics or whatever. Like I do feel as if I left judo without doing everything that I should have or could have. But I spent my last 2 years of 2 years of doing judo, like half-assing it almost, because I was doing wrestling and I was still competing in wrestling, and I was doing MMA, and I was constantly thinking about having a fight, like, fighting in a couple of years' time. So it just got this stage. I wasn't putting the work in for it, so I had to make a call on it.
One thing I find quite interesting, quite funny about this is if you said the same thing about MMA, like if I had to go full time with everything else going on, MMA, you'd think, hey, I'll make it work. It'll be all right. I'll do it my own time. But it's judo. I was like, nah, it's inconvenient. Fuck that noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're saying this now, you're like, that sounds inconvenient. So, well, you're already doing like, best part of 10, 12-hour days, and you're in a calorie deficit, and you're a professional MMA fighter training twice in the evenings whilst also doing that. But I mean, it sounds like very relaxing, I guess, compared to what you would have done. I mean, this is the whole thing of that bigger purpose that, again, I like how you, although as well as you did in judo, you remembered the reason you started it. because you get a lot of people who do jiu-jitsu for the same kind of reason, that it's a supplement for your MMA, and then they go off doing barambolos in Brazil and forget why they started in the first place. But it's that kind of the bigger picture and remembering that. And is that something when you're having your off days you're actively thinking about, or is it just something you try to just switch off when you're feeling a bit burnt out?
Just why am I doing like certain things like jiu-jitsu and stuff?
No, just like, okay, I wake up, you feel fucked, you feel tired, you can't be asked to train. Is it a case of this is a point for me to rest and recover? I switch off and don't watch anything to do with fighting, or is it okay, I need to remember my why and prompt myself back to who I am still?
It depends kind of where I am in a fight camp. If I'm 3 weeks from a fight, I'm gonna go training. Like there's times you need to make yourself go training. Like there's days you just can't be asked, so you need to make yourself. But there's also the days you gotta listen to your body, and if you're burnt out, you're feeling fatigued, just take a couple of days off. But no, like I'll listen to my body as much as I just want to do things and go to the gym and get CTE. I will listen to my body. So to some extent, like.
Again, like you ended that with some extent. Okay.
Yeah, it's just whenever you're sinking like your fourth ton of monster and you're getting heart palpitations, you're showing up and training.
Shooting yourself between rounds, you're like,
it's
okay,
max heart rate's within 20 seconds in the warm up, and they're like probably gonna drop dead, but they're had a good run.
But this is sort of again that relates on such a like necking the monster, trying to stay awake, feeling fatigued, thinking, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to make it alive, but we'll see what happens. I'm already here, got the gloves on. We'll see when the timer goes, who's still here.
That's it. Using caffeine to keep me awake. I might need to switch it up, start taking Coke or something, so keep me awake.
I mean, cage wars don't test it, I don't think, so no, you're fine.
No, it's okay.
Between rounds, we'll call it supplements, we'll call it creatine. They can't tell the difference. It's fine. It's just sugar pills.
Probably cut me it anyway. So if we'll start taking speed before we go in the cage, that's probably a good way to do it.
Imagine the cardio. This is something I've had this stupid hypothetical with. Would you have juiced division versions of like what we've got? So say you got featherweight division, but featherweight plus. So like, just let them crack on. Would you be up for?
I like this. The sound of featherweight plus sounds nice. See, if I wasn't scared of needles, I think featherweight plus would be fun.
I didn't say get a smack addiction. I meant more like steroids and stuff, and like just get. I don't know what you want to take. It's like, the skagging up.
No, I mean steroids and juicing.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, whatever you're into, it's your things,
If they're gonna do featherweight plus, I don't know. I'm sure. I don't know if the pharmacist around the corner can help me out, but we'll get like some EPO or something. We'll just get stacked. Look like well Romero on it.
You mean like the Northern Irish TJ Dillashaw thing, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. But I don't know. I think, to be honest, I think they should. Like, but then the issue is just you're gonna get one of them juice guys. They'll just come over and they'll pass the drug test and stuff. But they're doing it anyway, so. But you might as well just let them openly juice and get a featherweight plus go.
This is kind of my point. Basically, that's still at the plus, because again, if anyone wants to fight clean, they have to pass the test. The plus division, you're like, no, those tests we couldn't afford enough, so don't worry, we'll work out. How Ryzen like want to see this. Hey, you'll be all right. Don't worry.
No, that's it. I always get steroid accusations anyway, so that's I like winding people up with it. All my photos, I've got needle emojis and talking about USADA and stuff. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind juicing to see how big you get.
But the thing with that, it probably wouldn't even be getting bigger. It's the injuries and like just making sure you're recovering properly. Like imagine doing your physical job, training, and not feeling fatigued, like Superman. It'd be fucking wonderful.
No, I'm always fatigued. I only actually realized that whenever I took a couple of days off because I was sick. I took like 2 days off. Where like I turned on to my boss, was like, taking 2 days off. I need to get better. And at like we're talking like 2.5 weeks out from the fight. And I was eating like 4,500 calories a day for the 2 days I was off, just to try like build my immune system back up. And I went training on the Thursday night after being sick, and my head and all was foggy, but still felt like Superman. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
This is how I should feel.
Yeah. I was like, if I can sleep all day, this is class. Everyone's getting minced.
That's the dream, man. That is the dream. But one thing you said there, 4,500 calories. Fucking hell. I bet it's not even. Is it clean calories, or is it like you get your Big Macs in?
No, then it was like that because we're so close. It was all clean. It was like,
oh god,
like 3 smoothies a day, banging manuka honey and flax seeds and all this or other, boring shit.
You get like your body weight in like spinach and like broccoli and shit. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like it wasn't. Well, it was good because I was eating a ton of bread. I was eating a ton of sourdough bread, so I was loving life. But then after that, it was more like, oh, I've had so much carbs that like I can't eat carbs for a couple of days.
It's just you on Warzone with a big loaf of bread, just taking slice by slice, saying, "Yeah, cut, I'm a professional cage fighter. What are you gonna do?" And he's like
Oh,
chomping on. Just,
no, up until like 4 days out, I was eating bread. Like I was sitting eating sourdough and all of it. I think I stopped on like the Thursday night or the Friday. So what's that? 5 days out from Lance. I stopped just because they were like, right, you're only allowed 80 grams of carbs a day, and I'm like, what? That's nothing.
it's like a slice of bread, isn't it? Like 2.
80 grams of carbs is like it goes in so quickly. So thus I felt like crap.
Oh, fuck that, man. But again, this is sort of with that. Again, a lot of what you're saying here, we can sort of get the gist of the experience, the way you're sort of playing things off. Now, I'll tell everyone why this is more interesting than it sounds. You're doing physical labor, and when it comes to exercising and eating, you know what it's like on a full stomach.
Yeah.
You know how full you get after 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
You know how full you get after 3,000 calories, and how much you've got to do with that. How are you getting that in your work day? Like how you
Uh,
you're like grazing like a cow or something. How are you getting all this food in like throughout the day?
Nobody believes me, but like, see, when I say I have the worst diet of all time, like everyone, because like I would look in shape year round. Like I never really get out of shape, but my diet's atrocious. Like, what did I had one of them Cadbury's caramel eggs for breakfast this morning, like what, like 6:30 in the morning. Drove into work, drank an energy drink as soon as I got into work, and then had a McDonald's at 10 o'clock. It's like I eat bad calories most of the time, unless I have a fight coming up, in which case, like, I kind of put my serious head on to clean things up and I start eating a lot healthier. But for the most part, I'm probably eating 1,000 calories and shit a day. Like,
I mean, to be fair,
uh,
at least energy drinks are 0 calories, so you're not too bad in that side of things.
I don't drink calories because, well, unless it's like chocolate milk or pints. We can drink pints, so we can. But no, like I try not to drink calories, because if I do, I think I would start getting start getting the love handles back. And my last fight before this was fat as shit. I was so out of shape. I hadn't trained in like 4 months because my head was racked off. I came back. I was like straight off a bender. Text my coach when I was drunk. Took the fight, and like on like 10 days' notice, and went in and like had love handles and everything. Not an abdomen in. It wasn't. It wasn't good. Like,
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait. 10 days on a bend and you're thought, you know what, I'll have a fight. Like,
yeah,
were you
it was.
training build up to this at all? Was it like, you know what, fuck it, this is that.
I
Whilst
hadn't
we're
been.
here.
I cracked my rib, and then it was kind of like a weird sequence of events. It was like kind of a crack my rib in like a wrestling competition, and then it just kept playing up, and then I was like 6 weeks out from a fight, and just at the time I was in the process. Like, if there was like a lot of personal things happening, like a lot of family things, and then from like 6 weeks out, I could barely train. So I couldn't spar anything, and my head had just melted. Ended up putting out of the fight and didn't train from October to end of January. Came back into the gym in the end of January for like, but just assing about like once, twice a week. And then went at the end of February, like 21st February, was down in Dublin on a bender. So it was just drinking pints and eating cheesecake. And then I was steaming, and Pop put a thing up being like, there's a lightweight pull up, we need someone at 70 kilo. And I texted him being like, I'll take the fight.
You
And
said
then I was like, I'll take, yeah. But then I said to him, I was like, I'll take the fight. And that was on like the Saturday night, and woke up on the Sunday, and I was like, oh, fuck. And then went downstairs, finished the cheesecake off, had my last pint of Guinness, drove home, went to the gym Monday, and was like 80 kilo or 81 kilo. And I was like, I can't make 70 kilo. And normally I'm fighting at 66. And I was like, I need it like 72. And I got the fight at like 72 kilos of it. And it was the 30 seconds, and it was gassed, and the rest of it I was like just hogging them. It's terrible.
oh my God, imagine hearing that. Your opponent who's had a full camp, the full like 8-week job, And he's there thinking, I've got a serious opponent. He's going to come fucking correct. He's going to be
Yeah.
camp of his life, be shredded. And as you just pissed as a fart, stinking a cheesecake. Like, do you know what? Do you fancy doing a catch weight at 80 something?
Yeah.
Like, what? It's out of 7, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be all right. Don't worry.
It's grand, like, but no, thankfully it did, like, because you know, if it didn't take that fight, I wouldn't have got that would have been a year and a half. Yeah, over. That would have been nearly 2 years in between this fight and the last one. If it didn't take that fight.
Definitely. All right, mate. I've got to shoot off now, but thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you on
Yeah,
our social media?
BDE_Elliott.
Yeah, I can go what that stands for. Be sure to check them out. Be sure to check out sponsors. Have you got any sponsors supporting you at the minute?
Lift. They're a gym equipment brand, so they are. They'll have a page up and running in April here. Just everything was kind of thrown together last minute for sponsorships because the fight was such short notice, and they came on and helped me out huge with before my fight there, helped me out with the cost of the medicals and all that. So give them a look and sign up. You'll get a discount when they open up.
Absolutely perfect. That will be in the description. And thank you for your time.